I'm Adrijana Vujadin, and this is SEO in 2024.
Adriana, what's your number one SEO tip for 2024?
My tip for next year is actually find a reason why you are overworking, because definitely it's not just due to too many tasks. There is a belief how you determined yourself regarding all these tasks that you are doing on daily basis.
So, overworking, some people, I guess, view that as a positive. Is it always a negative?
I would say it's always negative, because definitely in your career, in your life, you should work only on the things that you are making the biggest impact, because basically these things will lead you to the next SEO career level. Doesn't matter if you're running a business. And if you're seeing that you have a lot of tasks, then definitely a business tip is actually find the people who can help you, because your brain needs to just work on the things that have the most impact for your career and for your business.
I mean, I can certainly understand that, but I guess people that are relatively young in their careers may be thinking, I want to work as much as possible. I want to get as much experience as possible doing different things. Then I'll move on more quickly in my career. Is that not good thinking?
Yeah, it depends from what kind of state of your mind and body that is coming from. And I will explain that. Because if you are every day overworking, but if you believe that your value is determined by the amount of work you have done today, then it's a negative, because you will not feel that you are productive enough. You are not going to feel that you are good enough if you don't finish like all these tasks. But if you are enjoying it every day and you are just like, that is the best thing that you can do like in that day, then overworking, and like what actually means overworking, like is it just like more than 8-10 hours? But if you are having a joy and like if you are enjoying in all these tasks, then definitely you should go, because that's maybe there is your energy. But if you are nervous, if you are stressed, if you are frustrated, and if you only think that, for example, if you don't finish all the 10 tasks from your to-do list and you are unhappy, then you should stop overworking, because your brain is connecting your value by the amount of work you have done today. And then like it's a negative thing, because like you're not your work. And definitely it doesn't matter like how many things you have accomplished today. It's not determined by your value as a human, as a person.
Yes, and in relation to enjoying what you do, I think the secret is just to be very clear in your mind about what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and be quite comfortable at saying no to things that you don't want to do, to focus on the things that you're better at or you prefer to do. Obviously, if you're earlier on in your career, you can't necessarily do that, and you're never going to get that 100%, of course. You will have to do some things. I'm actually reminded of the book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog, where you have to tick some things off the list and just do things that you don't like to do sometimes as well. But you don't want to do too much of that. So how do you determine when you're doing too much? How do you determine when you're overworking?
It's determined by the feeling, like how do you actually feel? Because if you are feeling like so good and you are so excited but in positive thing like about new opportunities, then just continue. But if you're seeing that your body and mind is struggling, if you are having a stress, if you are frustrated, then something is wrong. And that is something that you can fix, because you also mentioned the enjoyment. And then I think in early stage of our career, we are doing a lot of things that we just like must do. But then after, it's very hard to actually enjoy in the process, because we are so overwhelmed by all these like tasks, things, doesn't matter like is it SEO, so new Google updates. So it's very hard to actually learn how to enjoy in our SEO job.
What if overworking is the culture in your company? How can you possibly not overwork then?
In my company, culture is to not overwork, but what I can see in the SEO community and across the whole industries, like people are encouraging overworking. And then people who don't want to overwork, they are feeling guilty because they are not overworking. And so that is actually that mindset switch, because overworking is not something that you should do, because definitely you can be successful even you are not overworking. And then like that is connecting with the working smart.
Absolutely. I was just thinking of that phrase when you were saying it as well. You think that sometimes, or I guess earlier on in your career, you might think that the more hours you do, the better, or you get more reward for working hard, or even being seen to work hard, which is even sadder. You know, there's some cultures where if you're seen to be the first one in the office or the last one to leave, then you're perceived as being the person that adds the most value.
Yeah, that's so true. And also, I would like to add on top of it, you know, like people just love to emphasize how hard they work, because even like when they're working, they think they need to work hard and they need to struggle, because if they are not struggling, something is wrong. So just like putting in the mind that you can just like work and be successful, don't struggle. It's just like blow mind, like how we can do that. Because just people, it's kind of like in the mindset that people need to work hard and need to struggle. If they are not doing one of these things, they are not on the correct path. And that's like so not correct, because I know it seems like cliche, working like smart, not hard. But I like to say, my clients, don't think how to work smart. Just focus on the things that will have the most significant impact for your career. Because if you do this just like 20% of the most important things, then a lot of like small, fake, urgent queries will just like drop, and you will see that like these things are not so much important, and you will not get the benefit as much as you focus your mind on just like top 3 things that will lead you to the next level of business, of the career, and everything else you can just like pay someone else, because your mind needs to be clear to have that clarity, what will bring the biggest impact to your life.
So what do you do if you're the boss? How do you discourage an overworking culture when you've obviously got deadlines to hit?
I would like to talk with the people why they think they need to overwork. Because if that is something that is coming from their insecurities, if that is something that is coming from their feeling that they are not good enough, so they need to over-deliver, over-research, overwork, then it's a negative. And if its deadline is coming, and definitely if we see that like the deadline is coming, and I don't know, depending is it just like site migration or if it's just like another thing, but definitely like we are not surgeries, like SEO is not like depending on the life. I definitely would encourage my team to maybe put the schedule and deadline few days off, but to make sure that my employees are in the good mental health. Because if we just like pushing our employees to the one deadline, the next deadline, then our clients and SEO and the websites are more important than people. And that is something that I wouldn't do.
As an SEO manager, how do you ensure that your team do have as good mental health as possible? I mean, do you just have open conversations with them about it? Do you try and, look at them working just to see whether they're happy in their jobs? How do you go about doing that?
Firstly, I'm always putting myself as a leader and a good example. I'm taking every 3 months, few days off or week off for a vacation. Also, I'm encouraging them to take off and like vacation days. I'm always talking about their mental health, how they are feeling during the work. And then if I'm seeing that some clients and tasks are pushing to themselves, then I'm pushing these deadlines for a few days, because I'm always caring about my people, that they are first and they need to learn to put themselves first, because I would like to see them working in the company next 10 years. I don't want to just like for them to go burnout and then leave the company.
And I guess you would encourage account managers to have open conversations with clients about this as well, because obviously clients can be pushy as well. Clients can insist upon certain deadlines. And if those deadlines aren't realistic in terms of deliverability, then you would encourage people to have open conversations with those clients about the fact that the team are burning out potentially.
Yeah. And also, I'm as a consultant and I'm in direct communication with my clients. So whenever we have like these kinds of deadlines, there is discussion like, is it possible? What will take? What kind of like additional resources we can hire and add to our team if they need to have like some urgent deadlines. But in these discussions and when you present all these things to the clients, majority of them will be just like okay with a deadline. If deadline will actually be more harmful than just like pushing a few days, and it's just like 1 week or something like that.
And I mentioned the word burnout in the previous question. I mean, what are your thoughts on what burnout means, and does overworking lead to burnout?
Yeah, definitely. And I was there, so definitely I can talk from my experience. Burnout is actually when you are overwhelmed by your energy and thinking about like all these negative feelings and thoughts that you have on daily basis, plus overworking. Because definitely you will have burnout if you are not enjoying in your SEO job and the life, then burnout it's very likely to be there. But if you are taking the frequent rest, if you're taking frequent days off, if you're taking like slow kind of like slower. And I know it's very hard to actually tell ourselves like, let's slow down, because when you are in one kind of like good career level, then slowing down will make you more successful because you need some time to think. You can't just like overwork, because that is not something that will lead you to the next SEO level. So slowing down and then having that clear mind, like what you really need to do to get that what you really want.
So what did you do to recover from burnout then? Did you stop working completely, or did you simply just identify what work was necessary and just do the minimum amount of work and ensure that you had time off during the week as well?
Yeah. Firstly, I didn't know that I'm in burnout, honestly. I was so overwhelmed and I wanted to quit my job because I didn't have a clear mind to say like, hey, this is a burnout. I was just thinking of quitting my job and taking some time off to actually just like to realize what I really want in my SEO life. Because like your thoughts in that moment are so, I would say like not real, and you can see that actually you love SEO and you have a passion about SEO, but it's just the way and the attitude while you are working is wrong. So basically, I just like took 2 weeks off, not knowing that I'm burnout. And then I was reading a book, Power of Now of Edgar Tolle. And then like, actually that is a moment when all these mindset coaching started with me, because in that moment I realized that I can control my thoughts and I can do some mindset switch things. So when I'm back on the work, I'm actually having different attitude towards stress, towards clients, towards team members. So I started a therapy, then I started to go on the mindset coaching, and then that is something that helped me to work now like without stress, without frustration, and not actually overwork.
And would you recommend that course of action for any SEO that feels that they might be overworking excessively and perhaps suffering from burnout, or is the way that it's treated different for each person?
They can do like different things. They can definitely go to therapy, they can do a mindset coaching. But if they really want to have the biggest impact of this, because like when you are burnout, you just need to work on something immediately, because that burnout can go like even deeper. So therapy and mindset sessions, honestly, that is something that I would recommend. That helped me. In that way, I'm helping all my clients. So if they know like any other option, just let me know. But for now, like these 2 things are helping you the best and the fastest way, because you don't have like 1 year to recover from burnout. You need like 1 month or 2 months.
If an SEO is struggling for time, what should they stop doing right now so they can spend less time overworking in 2024?
If they're struggling with time, then definitely I would say like prioritize the things that will help you to lead and achieve the things they want, because not all the things they are working now will help them to achieve the goals that they have.
Okay, so it's a case of identifying where they want to be in maybe 5 years' time, and then asking themselves the question of whether or not the tasks that they're doing today will help them achieve that goal in the future.
Yeah, basically do a gap skill analysis. Like if I want to be a SEO manager in 5 years, like what skills I need to have, because if you want to become SEO manager, you don't need to go and do some coding things or like so deep like technical things. No, you need to work on more like soft skills and like leaderships. And the same thing is versus versa. Like if you really want to be like technical person for one specific niche thing, then like just go with that. You don't need to work on some your presentational skills. Like it's...
Adrijana Vujadin is a coach for SEO professionals, and you can find her over at adrianavujadin.com. Adrijana, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2024.
Thank you, David.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2024, the book, over at seoin2024.com.